You ever see a couple that used to be obsessed with each other and now they barely even like each other? Or someone leaves a perfectly good relationship because it feels boring, only to end up in something way more chaotic and somehow worse? Yeah, turns out this isn't new at all. You might think dating apps, situationships, and I just need space text created this cycle, but a guy in the 1800s already saw it coming. His name was Leo Tolstoy, and in his novel, he wrote about a woman who makes the exact same decision people still make today. Her name was Anna Karenina. On paper, her life looks perfect. She's married, respected, financially secure, and living the kind of life that seems stable and put together. Her husband, Alexei Karenin, is responsible, disciplined, and exactly the type of person you'd describe as a good partner. But that's also the problem. Because he's only good in theory, there's no emotional connection, no excitement, no feeling of being truly understood. It's the kind of relationship where everything works, except the part that actually makes you feel alive. And if that sounds familiar, it should. Because a lot of relationships don't fail because they're toxic or broken. They fail because they're empty. And once that feeling sets in, it doesn't just go away. It starts pushing you towards something else, something that feels like the opposite. And that's exactly where things begin to fall apart. Because the moment you start feeling that emptiness, anything that feels different suddenly feels right. That's exactly what happens when Anna Karenina meets Count Vronsky. He's charming, confident, emotionally present in a way her husband isn't, and most importantly, he makes her feel something again. Not just comfortable or secure, but alive, seen, desired. And when you've been stuck in something that feels emotionally flat for so long, that kind of intensity doesn't just feel good, it feels like the answer. This is the part where people convince themselves that this new person is completely different, that this time it's real, that this is what love is supposed to feel like. You hear it all the time even now, just in different words. I've never felt like this before. This is different. They understand me. And in that moment, it genuinely feels true, because the contrast is so strong that it makes the new connection feel deeper than it actually is. But what's really happening isn't that this new relationship is perfect, it's that it's new. It hasn't been tested yet, it hasn't had time to develop cracks, and it hasn't forced either person to confront anything real. And that's the illusion Tolstoy's quietly building, because what feels like love at its peak is often just the absence of reality. Eventually, the excitement settles down and reality shows up, and when it does, it doesn't ask whether the relationship started with passion or not. It just reveals what's actually there. For Anna Karenina, that shift is slow, but unavoidable. The affair with Vronsky, the same relationship that once felt intense and freeing, begins to feel unstable, uncertain, and harder to hold on to. The attention that once felt effortless now feels inconsistent, and the emotional highs start coming with equally strong lows. And instead of feeling secure in the relationship, she begins to feel anxious. She starts overthinking, questioning, needing reassurance, and noticing every small change in behavior. The same mind that once saw this relationship as the answer now starts looking for signs that it might fall apart. And the more she looks, the more she finds. Because when your sense of stability comes entirely from another person, even small shifts can feel like something bigger. This is the part most people don't expect, because they assume the problem was the previous relationship. But what Tolstoy shows is that the pattern doesn't disappear just because the person changes. The same fears, emotional habits, and the need for validation follow you into the next situation. And without realizing it, you recreate the same feeling you were trying to escape. This is where everything comes together, because what Tolstoy is really showing isn't just a failed marriage or a failed affair, it's a pattern that keeps repeating itself no matter who you're with. It starts with attraction, then turns into idealization, where the other person feels perfect and everything seems right. Then comes dependency, where your sense of happiness slowly becomes tied to them, followed by fear, where you start worrying about losing what you have. That fear leads to tension. Tension leads to conflict, and eventually the relationship collapses under the weight of expectations it was never built to carry. What makes this uncomfortable is realizing that neither of Anna's relationships actually worked, even though they were completely different. One had stability without passion, the other had passion without stability, but both failed because they were missing something deeper. And that missing piece wasn't just about the relationship itself, it was about her ability to feel secure without depending entirely on someone else to create that feeling for her. That's why this still feels relevant today, because people don't just leave relationships, they carry their patterns into the next one. The faces change, the story feels new, but the outcome slowly starts looking the same. And here's the uncomfortable part. Tolstoy wasn't just observing this from the outside. His own marriage to Sophia was a disaster. 13 kids, constant resentment, emotional manipulation on both sides. He wrote about Anna's failed relationships while living through his own. He saw the pattern because he was stuck in it. So here's the question. Do relationships fail because of the other person or because of the patterns we never fix? If this made you think a little differently, hit like and subscribe. See you in the next one.